Another year, another article trashing men in the Magic the Gathering community. It seems like I'm constantly defending the overwhelming majority of the community from salty people whom never really have any actual examples and are clearly just desperate for attention and use it as a way to be misandrous, to hate on men, to paint the entire Magic the Gathering community as some sort of disgusting grope fest. And I feel like I'm the only one pointing this out. This is a common problem when you have a community that has a lot of I would say more beta personalities. This is just the way it goes. They elevate women because women, and they let people walk all over them. Well, I'm not that way. If this person had any valid points, well, maybe we'll explore them. But here we go with another men are the reason Magic is bad and everything in my life is bad. You'll always see there's always a underlying victimhood narrative, typically built on a wide variety of unconnected, unsubstantiated events. And I have not read this article. It was sent to me several weeks back. But let's take a look at some big-brained commentary. This blog post has been a long time coming. And by the way, I'm going to link an archive of this if you want to read it. Let's not send traffic to what is clearly a disgusting website. So this blog post has been a long time coming. I've scrapped draft after draft. Confirmed hero. It's a very relevant subject to no one, and it does need to be discussed. No, it doesn't. However, discussing it can sometimes feel like you're bashing your head against a very large, heavy rock. How do I talk about this without offending, without hurting, or scaring off the very people I aim to help? Well, thank you. Thank you for helping us deplorable men in the Magic the Gathering community. Thank you for showing us the way. It's a hard subject to explain, so I took the liberty of borrowing a comment off a YouTube video about women in Magic. So I cherry-picked one article. I'm going to base my entire opinion on it. No SJW. There are less female pro players on average because most do not have the IQ to play a game like Magic well enough to compete statistically. Women do not have the ability to compete the same level as men in sports, video games, or card games. Well, this is clearly a troll post. It is not IQ that holds women back from competitive Magic the Gathering play. It is biology. It is their lack of testosterone, their will to compete, their commitment to the grind. This is biological fact. Now, this isn't to say that women couldn't compete in a card game where you sit on your ass. Certainly, there have been good female Magic players. Melissa Del Toro is one. There's been many others, but she's the only one that doesn't appear to be a total garbage human. And I don't believe that women are predispositioned to not being good at Magic the Gathering, but I do believe women, on average, are less competitive. They are less committed to something like Magic the Gathering and choose to spend their time other places. This is a fact. But instead, this person is going to build up an entire straw man and use it to paint men in the community as if we all agree with this low IQ take. I want this blog post to help the people that I do understand or experience this, and that people don't believe it happens. There are certain things that make playing competitive Magic a lot harder for women than men. There are all things that could help. They are all things that could be helped, and we definitely need to work on. That's right. You need to improve, folks. The biggest issue is toxicity. That's it. Okay, let me tell you something. Let me completely fix toxicity for you. Genius author. You can play competitive Magic online using a program called Magic Online. in which you don't really have to interact with anyone at any time. You can get Pro Tour invites without ever talking to anyone, anywhere, anytime. So absolutely not. Toxicity is not the biggest reason there aren't more pro competitive Magic players. In fact, you could use the fact that Magic Online is a proven path to competitive play to debunk any real human interaction related reasons to hold people back from competitive Magic play. Megan Wolf wrote she's also a feminist, wrote an excellent article about the girlfriendification, the idea that any woman playing Magic is inevitably tied to it as a girlfriend of a male player. Well, there are a lot of girlfriends that play Magic the Gathering because women aren't normally interested in playing Magic the Gathering. This is just a fact. If it weren't fact, there would be 10 million female Magic players instead of 20 million male Magic players and 47 female Magic players. I mean, why on earth would we be interested in Magic other than to be more involved in our boyfriends' lives? PSA, Magic is, in fact, an extremely good game and actually quite possible to enjoy it, boyfriend or not. I love the condescending tone. That's great. Now, my boyfriend does play, but I enjoy Magic for myself and would be playing it long after he went anywhere. But he must have, so what you're saying is he showed you the game. Interesting. I'm asked a lot, so did your boyfriend jerk you in here? Are you with your boyfriend? Like, who would pay €30 to sit and do the same thing for 9 hours if they didn't enjoy it? But asking this isn't funny or casual. It makes me instantly feel unwelcome or bothered. That's right. You know, you walk into a room with 50 men and 2 females, and you're offended that, they're noticing you're different. I don't think you would get very many different questions if, for example, you were the only men in a room full of women. This isn't necessarily a mean thing. This is, what is this saying? You must not ascribe malice to when incompetence can be better described or ascribed. In this case, lots of Magic the Gathering players are socially awkward. This isn't just with women, it's just in life. And so they maybe unwillingly or unknowingly use that as a bad icebreaker, okay? Yes, women can enjoy Magic the Gathering without a boyfriend tied to them. However, many times, and as somebody who used to attend many pre-releases and would attend them again, should I be unbanned, there were always girlfriends there. And there were always girls who literally offered that information. I'm just here hanging out with my boyfriend. So don't act like it doesn't happen. When you look at a breakdown of competitive play, females only make up between 1% and 5% of competitive Magic players. So there is a significant amount of female players that aren't leaving their kitchen tables or FNMs. They say that it is, by the way, estimated gender breakdown of male to female players. They say that 38% of Magic players are female. Incorrect. Now, there are many women Magic players, but I'm guessing the actual real number is closer to 5 to 10%. That's just, you don't have to be an absolute moron to disagree. I mean, go to any FNM, go to any Grand Prix, go to any local home brew of Magic players, go to kitchen table Magic. It is overwhelmingly men and always has been, and the problem is assuming there's anything wrong with that. The absence of female visibility at competitive tournaments has a knock-on effect. There is not enough Magic content created by women. Well, that's maybe because this is the shit that you create and no one wants to read this. Instead of actually going out there and creating good, relevant content, you create content that dumps on men. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. Maybe there isn't a huge audience for that. Without this vital female representation, it is very hard to draw more women into competitive events. Disagree? On top of this, women are such a rare sight that some players can't even deal with them without being rude or belittling those poor souls. Now, I will... you put a negative spin on it, and maybe there are some people out there, but in my experience, the Magic community is overwhelmingly kind. And maybe they say something that you perceive to be belittling, but I assure you it's not on purpose. I guarantee you as somebody who's attended Magic events for over a decade now, I don't know how long you've been attending them, but women have always been welcome. Women have been yearned for at local FNM. Are you kidding me? Many of these people, Friday night is the only time they get out of the house. So the opportunity to meet a female, just to be friends with and maybe meet their friends and expand their circle is by far a dream of most male Magic players. I went to Nationals this year amongst a few hundred players. I saw 4 women, and that included me. Again, nobody is keeping you. And then we have a bunch of anecdotal evidence with I was kicked from a store for talking with an employee who is female. The owner didn't like that we were talking and I was flipping through binders. He sent her to the back room after saying she was spending too much time talking. Nobody other than me in the store. And then comes up to me and said, "Okay, you've had your fun with my girl. Are you going to buy something and leave?" I left, but then came back the next day and told her what he said. She said that they're not together. But he keeps telling people that and being awkward and perverse around her. She quit that day. She doesn't play Magic anymore. Okay, none of this is common, right, of the low IQ argument. None of this has anything to do with Magic the Gathering. This has to do with a creep, right? A creepy boss and nothing to do with the Magic the Gathering community. At the pre-release a couple weeks ago, I had a guy literally try to bull me into rushing into our second game so that he could get a shot to come back after I won the first one. Literally, I would draw and play a land and turn. He would like, "You done?" Like I was wasting his time for trying to take my turn. Anita, Texas. Yeah, pretty sure we've all played against that guy. Had nothing to do with you being a female at all. Again, you can see the depth of the conversation. Let's get to the advice. As a woman, to us plebeian men, all right, here's some good advice. Now, there's always, for those majority of people that aren't a contributor to this toxicity but want to help, here are some tips to helping women feel more comfortable in your Magic community. Oh, I'm all ears. Don't be too full on. Believe it or not, women don't go to Magic tournaments to give out their number and find a boyfriend. We go to play Magic. Believe it or not, most Magic players who are men don't want your number. They're not interested in you. Stop with the God complex. That's the problem. You think that any man who's being nice to you must want to sleep with you. Maybe that's a problem. Maybe that is an issue for you. Don't be afraid to call other people out on their garbage. If you see players being derogatory, mean, or inappropriate to a player because she is female, or for any other reason really, tell them to get their head out of their asses. Take it from somebody who's been in that position, and the player next to you leaning over to your opponent and saying, "Dude, that's uncalled for," or can make a world of difference. This is actually fine. Now, unfortunately, it comes wrapped in this women first, everyone else as an afterthought. But I've absolutely said things to people at pre-release. I've absolutely called out people I call my friends for being too competitive at pre-release. So this is just generally good advice, but it has nothing to do with female Magic players. 3, yes, it's weird to see a female at a tournament. You don't need to tell us. We are all just as aware of you that we may be the only female there, probably more so, but letting us know that doesn't make it feel any less intimidating. Okay, fine. Again, you have a problem with awkward men who don't know how to break the ice. I get it, but are we supposed to walk on eggshells just to make you feel comfortable? I don't think so. That's not how the world works. This is a great one. Don't criticize female opponents unless they ask you to. This is a weird one, but if you've just played a female player, don't follow the match by saying things like, "Oh, you could do this, or you should have done this, or this card doesn't make sense in your deck, and you should be playing this." This is not a female Magic player thing. This is a new or a bad Magic player thing. And to be fair, unless somebody asks you for a critique, it's best to not do it. But I've run into this from people for the past 20 years of playing Magic. Whether you ask for advice or not, they're going to give it to you. Whether you're a man or woman, they're going to give it to you. And 9 times or more out of 10% cases, they're probably just trying to be nice. And again, everything always in these articles can be derived to social awkwardness. There's nothing wrong with asking if they've tried this card or why they made that play, but please don't be condescending. Honestly, there's nothing worse than finishing a game and being lectured on everything you did wrong and what ultimately lost you the game. Yeah, that's especially true if you want to be a competitive Magic player. You definitely don't want to get any feedback at all. Always be welcoming. Treat us like every other player, as if we don't. An obvious one, and most players are more than accommodating for a female in a male-dominated environment. Just don't be a dick, as if that's your default setting. In general, you could fit these things in any player, female or other. Be nice to people. Life is too short. Magic is too fun. Yeah, again. Feel like they have to cheat or look down on a player just because they are female, transgender, gay, black, Asian, or whatever. It's not the 1950s. Right. Nobody does that. That's the thing. These people create a boogeyman, and it is a boogeyman, to be clear, to write these articles. But nobody cares. Nobody cares that you're transgender. Nobody cares that you're gay. Nobody cares that you're a woman. You know what they care about is if there's 7 people in the room and they need 8 to fill up that draft pot. That's what they care about. They don't care if you're black, blue, transgender, an androgynous tree person. We don't care. We just want to play Magic. And for any females reading this, or anyone, I like how they always put that in as an afterthought. Don't ever let people's small-mindedness stop you from doing something you enjoy. The best antidote going out there is kicking some butt and proving people wrong. It's better for your mental health, and it's damn fun. We do have a few Magic players to learn from. Take a look at Melissa DeTora, a Pro Tour player who now works for WotC, as well as Gabby Sparts and Kathleen from Loading Ready Run. None of these people have ever won anything, by the way. Melissa Del Toro's biggest claim to fame is top 8ing, right? Thousands of people have top 8ed. Just saying. These other 2 are content creators and feminists. Just saying also, for context. You don't need to talk about people's lack of... Now, to be fair, this article wasn't as bad as I was expecting. It still comes from this condescending, I'm a woman, you're man, you're doing something wrong, let me tell you what it is and how to fix it. And it's also, just like all other women in Magic articles, completely lacking any real knowledge about the social awkwardness of the actual Magic player. So they're either willingly ignoring that to push their agenda, or they don't really play Magic or know many Magic players. Because every Magic player I've ever met at FNM or at a GP is generally pretty awkward. And that's for men or women. So maybe let me offer you some advice, women in the Magic community, and maybe I'll do a separate video for this. Don't think everything's about you. Don't think we really care that you're a woman. Just show up and play Magic and stop looking to be offended. Bet you'll have a lot more fun. Thanks for watching this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.